This podcast is brought to you by Always Possible.
alwayspossible.co.uk.
If there is one word to mark out the first part of the 21st century from the 20th, it is digital. Whatever the fourth and fifth industrial revolutions are, the digitization of everything is obviously leaving no part of humanity untouched in some way. But beyond the cliche clutches of big tech and the visible social platforms most people play with and freely give their data to every day, does the general population really understand anything about the digital transformation happening with them, to them, for them, and around them? And if we don't understand what they're doing, or even who these digital transformation gurus are, can we ever measure the impact that they might be having on our lives? What happens when we switch from human to AI, labourer to robot, photograph to avatar? Academics and think tanks are trying to work it out. But what about the technologists themselves? Do they care? In this episode of the Possibility Club, we're exploring the thought process behind creating digital realities in everyday business and services. I'm Richard Freeman, and my special guest is an expert builder of digital infrastructure, whether for logistics or care homes, taxi drivers or security guards. His business, his tech startup, grapples every day with the ethics and impact of the technology powering growth and productivity at scale. How does he do it? And what is it all about? Well, I'd like you to meet the co-founder and director of Thy Reality, Farhan. I'm with Farhan from Thy Reality, and I'm really delighted to be spending some time with you, Farhan. How the devil are you on this? It's a Monday morning. Well, I'm doing a call on a Monday morning. That seems unfair, but I'm making you do it. How are things?
Monday morning is always good. Well, thank you for this opportunity. And my Monday morning actually starts on Sunday morning of Australia. So I'm enjoying the London weather so far and having fun. And glad to have you in a meeting.
Your Monday morning starts because you're dealing with
Australia, Hawaii. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's crazy ride. Life of an entrepreneur.
Let's take that as a starting point then. Tell me a little bit about this global business that you're building. It's an interesting business in the tech space. What's led you to doing this and doing this now?
It started with the name like Thy Reality. It's your reality. And our purpose is to create businesses and allow businesses to create their own reality. Through COVID, through all this turmoil that we have seen, wars and everything, everyone seems to trying to create their own reality, but they don't have the tools to do it. That is where we come in, Thy Reality, to just tell them, hey guys, we got you. And the way that we got them is that we don't charge them upfront. We don't charge them anything that can impact their business before they do the business. And our chief operating officer, Giancarlo, came up with a very nice word, or as I care, like it's going to be a little cheesy for us. We grow as you grow. So we are highly relying on the customers of their potential of market, their growth. And what we provide to them is basic technology, efficient technology, a technology on its plain core form where it is adapting to the changing environment, how the world is progressing. So that is what we are corely doing. And with that, we have clients from fleet management to care home management to basic. Now we are putting ourselves into logistics and also opening the avenues for other entrepreneurs who wants to build something that they think that can be impactful to the rest of the world.
So you talk about a reality or a business's reality, and you creating something for, particular contexts and particular circumstances. So, the word often used would be bespoke, or it's not a one size fits all thing. So you're creating, as far as I understand it, digital and tech infrastructure for quite complex organizations with lots of moving parts. But how does that then fit with a more connected, integrated digital world? When you think about organizations being compliant around data, when you're thinking about data sharing, when you're thinking about the cloud, buying in elements of digital infrastructure from outside, how bespoke can or should a digital setup be?
That's a very good question. Like how bespoke a digital infrastructure can be. And I would like to add a little bit of my background in this. I've been programming since the age of 12, and it took us around 17 years to build the team that we are on. Coming about the technology, it's a very delicate part, especially with the data protection laws and how the AI is going to play the bigger role down the road and what is currently paying. Everybody thinks that AI is this big, gigantic beast that is going to just take over the world. But that is not true. The key element that AI relies upon is the data that it is receiving. And I will come back to the data protection law and how we are using that data, or we are not using that data in a second. Essentially, AI decision-making depends on the depth of data that you have received from multiple sources. For example, if you're a business, you have 30 different components, you are using 3 different softwares, and one way or another, when you change software point A to point B, or there is a transition from a single event to another event, which is on another software, you are expected to have 20% loss of data. We are solving that. The Reality, London-based company, is solving that with a very sophisticated but yet simplistic way. It's just one single platform. Very simple, very elegant platform that is very easy to understand. It reduces the learning curve that new technology usually provides to the old people, like old businesses. And then it allows them to like, hey, this is your data, and then you correct it. And then the AI comes in and it provides in like, hey, the recommendation engine kicks in based on the data that we received. Coming to the data protection law, we don't use the customer data. Our customer data is their own data. We provide them a full secure instance that they manage. Even as a company, biggest use case in Australia, we cannot even take out the actual number of transactions if we don't take the approval from the government. So the Reality is on a mission, a true mission of providing businesses with their reality where they don't have to worry about their data. They just only have to worry about one thing and one thing only, and that is growing and how quickly they can grow. They don't have to worry about the legacy system. They don't have to worry about a single transition phase where they are saying like, oh, our technology is going to be old. If you go in all this government institutions, like for example, NHS in UK, the system is very old. Medicare softwares are very old. Like there is no big change that has happened in the past 10 years or maybe 20 years in some countries. We still rely on a basic phone call from a person that can be given to the IVR easily, and that can reduce the queuing for hundreds and thousands of users, just with simple implementation of that thing. Yes, we are bespoke. Yes, the way that we manage the data is in customer control. But the difference that and the impact that we are creating for our customers is that we are not selling a product.
So that's where I want to really drill down. You build tech platforms that are, resilient and agile and seek to marry the kind of bespoke needs of that organization with some of the kind of wider digital infrastructure things of benefit, but also making sure that they comply with and don't get tripped up by regulation and so on. So far so good, But in this podcast and in the work that I do, I'm really interested in where bravery is coming from. Where in spaces like that are people building things that make them stand out because they're doing it in a slightly different way. Maybe let's wheel back again a little bit in terms of your story. What led you to doing this?
Uh, it is something that goes deeper into my as a personal well-being, who I am as a person. I was not born with silver spoon, yet I was a little bit, but then there was certain incident in when I was 12 that led me to be someone who becomes self-sufficient. In that path, in that journey, what I've learned is that as a human, our purpose, our values are to create a better environment for others, not for ourselves. We can be selfish, we can be like selfish with ourselves, we can be selfish with the world, but it's the biggest thing that we can do is to give back to the people who are less fortunate than you. Some people don't have the drive to pursue what they want. I learned programming just sitting in a storage room in my house. I borrowed the book from MSc, like computer course books from my neighbor, and I started to just dwell in that. It took me 1 week to write a Hello World program in C++ at that time. Then there were times that the heat was, I couldn't afford the air conditioning, and I was covered from head to toe from small pimples of this heat wave or kind of stuff. I was in Pakistan, back in Pakistan at that time. I was still working with the companies. Sometimes people just decided not to pay me because they took a word, and it's just as a kid sitting in some storage storeroom or some basement or somewhere. And it's a quite hard journey. But once I got out of that, and it was just sheer will, just a constant need to improve and learn, the zest of the biggest thing that I have, and people like always mind that in me, is that I'm always asking questions. If I meet a new person, there's like 1,000 questions, and that sometimes becomes irritating to them. But that is just my personality, because if I were not to do that, I wouldn't be sitting in here. I wouldn't be sitting in with you talking about how we are planning to change this. Coming back to the technology, any platform on this planet or any technology provider should do the same thing. Your technology it needs to be curious what is happening. It's only this single question that as a human being that you are asking, like you go to a new environment and you say like, oh, what is this? I like it, I don't like it. Imagine a technology is a canvas and you are putting a painting on, but if you don't know what you are doing, it doesn't matter how you do it. So our objective from my personal transition of all this words, I'm able to translate it to our platform. A way that is unique, that have a potential. I just finished a couple of white papers, and we're going to apply for more than 10 patents already. Not to share our technology, but to tell people, the world, that this is how it is done. I can just keep that as an intellectual property and don't share with anyone. But what's the point in my growth if we don't share that?
So you've been working on this curiosity problem as a kind of almost an intellectual pursuit, to use technology as a vehicle to make sense of the world and to ask questions and to share that, and I think that's what I'm particularly interested in, is your compulsion to kind of share what you're learning. Reality was set up a couple of years ago.
Reality was set up in 2019. It's almost 3 years now. Reality is an AI company. It started, the idea of creating something was started in 2014. I was in chat with CTO of Katona at that time, and we ended up like chatting, and he said like, I had this idea like, hey, if I talk to my phone, I should be able to create anything, and the AI should be able to, because at that time you're starting to learn things, and the new technology of my curiosity, I didn't stop on one technology. Usually programmers do, they learn 2-3 languages, they become expert, and they just stick with that for the rest of their life. But because of my what questions and my stupidity, you can call it, I've just put myself into the situation where new things just come to me, and I just go to the source of that. So coming back to this Katona guy, and he said like, I was like, I'm going to build this AI. And he said like, listen, do you have $500 million in your bank account? The plain answer was no. Do you have 300 PhD sitting in your office? Nope. Then the politest way he said to me, then shut the fuck up. But I kept working alone on that. And in 2018, I finished the partial bits of it. And that was, so when we receive data from our customer, or our customer receives the data from the different usages or different use cases in their businesses, our AI learns from that, it understands it, and then it recommends to our customer what needs to happen next in order for them to improve their businesses. And finally, in 2019, because of my previous work with defense, we met this customer approached us. They said, like, listen, I give you $2 million AUD. Can you build a dispatch solution for us? And my answer to that is, hallelujah, I'm not going to build a platform for you. I'm not going to take $2 million from you. I'm going to become your partners. This is a valid case to prove our platform, what our capabilities are. Mm-hmm. And we just stayed. Die-Reality was already there. I was putting the name out Die-Reality since 2008. So that's how it started. Registration got a little while, and we chose UK out of US or anywhere else. Is living a lot in throughout the world, like US, Australia, Dubai. I found UK have one thing that is not a single country have, which is simple decency of understanding that, hey, there is a need.
Okay. Tell me more. I'm interested because it's easy for me as a dyed-in-the-wool Brit to rubbish our slightly obvious weaknesses, I think, on a global stage at the moment. So tell me how what do we do?
I totally agree that our technology is not there, but we are leading providers, one of the leading providers in cybersecurity software all around the world. We have a solid base. Despite the fact our new generation is lacking a little bit of curiosity towards what to build next, like we have the infrastructure in Silicon Valley or China or Israel or India for that matter. But one thing that we have is we have a proper operational background that no other country has. So what we do, if we are thinking in a process, we are not just thinking of doing it. Yeah, we don't want to take risk. That's like, we are just a little bit hesitant, but we have a pattern to our madness.
So am I hearing right that you're saying the UK is just a bit more thoughtful? There's a bit more yes. Compassion and consideration in the execution of technology. I've never heard that before. That's fascinating.
Because here's the thing. It takes us a little bit time to do certain things, but when we do it, it becomes a trend. Mm-hmm. It becomes something that everybody respects, and there is no denying on that fact. If something is built in the UK by UK entrepreneurs, so what happens is the transition, if you look in London, entrepreneurs going to Silicon Valley and then creating hundreds of millions of dollars of businesses over there, just because US have a bigger infrastructure as it provides more facilities to them, doesn't mean that we don't have that talent in us. Mm-hmm. Ideas that we come up, it's not just for the first world countries, it also impact for the third world countries. It's a whole supply chain. I have a professor in this, Alistair Brandon. He's a very thoughtful professor, and he have written 3 books. He teaches at Bath. The beauty in his madness and the operational elements that what the models of that we have come up with, like Rocky metrics and all this, the patterns that we have come up, it's all us. Mm-hmm. You see the flow and all the new operational things, how to solve the queuing problem, how to solve certain things outside the UK.
Well, that's heartening, Farhan. I feel better about that.
We should be proud of. We just need a few crazy guys just taking more risks. That's it. That is what we need.
This podcast is brought to you by Always Possible. But who are we?
Always Possible works with ambitious businesses, charities, and public services that are thinking about what's next.
From architects to aerospace companies, puppet theatres to primary schools, business networks to big data analysts.
If you're wanting to be brave with some big decisions or to be clearer about what to prioritise, then an award-winning workshop from the Always Possible team is a brilliant starting point.
We care about just one thing: building ideas that work.
For creative, intuitive and practical expertise, consider Always Possible as your strategic partner. Find out more about how we could power up your mission. Visit alwayspossible.co.uk.
alwayspossible.co.uk.
So tell me about your team. Tell me about the kind of size of the business. I know that you're operating all over the world. How are you creating opportunities for people like you who maybe had some challenging starts in life or have a curiosity about technology and a thoughtfulness that's maybe not nurtured in some other tech organizations?
Here's the thing. In startup world, people take advantage of their team members. Oh, you are my family. And when they become a family, because it's a one pizza rule, you sit down at a table and they're not going to get full salaries. They're going to be on deferred pays. They're going to be paid back in stocks. All the big promises. My team is different. All of our team members, combined experience, if we include our software developers who are like 45 developers sitting, we have combined experience of 600 years. If we just combined everything and people come in. But our executive team, like Tina Adams, she was a UI UX lead at Google. Our advisor, Dan Johnson, he works with US Navy. It took me like 17 years to combine all these people. All of my friends, all of these people that I worked with in the past, and they know me for my skill, and I know them for their skill. We took this journey upon ourselves that, hey guys, we are going to do it. And then we added some youngster to our team when I was finishing my MBA. As a high school dropout, it was quite unique. I finished my MBA, but the thing was that I needed new talent. And one thing that I think what we need to do in this matter for the whole landscape of the startups or the new technology that is coming in is choosing a right team for yourself, because loyalty and team is always earned. You cannot force your team to be with you if the things are going down. You cannot have people who are just too much into living that they are right. And as CEO, the biggest thing that I have done to make sure my team stays with me despite having all this, because when you get experience, you become egoistic a little bit because you're so much proud of yourself. Like, hey, I have done this much. And who is this little guy who's telling me to do something? So you got to be able to listen to them. The biggest thing that you can do to your team or while hiring is, are they able to object you? Are they able to listen to you? Or you are able to listen to them? Because as an entrepreneur, what gets to and this idea I've created, I'm going to solve this problem, and everybody is just not correct. That is the biggest thing that you, as an entrepreneur, that you have to kill in yourself.
Gotta let go.
Yeah, you have to just tell yourself, hey, you shut the fuck up. You have experienced people in your life. Like, I have 17 years of tech experience, but my CTO have more than 19 years. If he tells me that, hey, this is not a right way to do things, I should be able to say to him, like, yes, you are right or wrong, but I shouldn't be able to overrule him in certain things. I mean, let me give you a basic example. My Mexican president, who is also a chief operating officer of the Reality UK, he tells me, like, Mexico market is different. As a market expert in his area, I should be able to listen to him regardless of whether I'm right or wrong, I'm believing or not. So coming back to your second phase of the question, which is how we are assisting with the new entrepreneurs, how we can assist and how we are able to help them, is Reality have opened their platform, which is anybody can come up with an idea, universities or any other person. We assure them that they will get their idea, their IP is there. AI obviously is there is some certain norms that we have to discuss, but we will give them the technology. The biggest problem that a new entrepreneur faces, which I face in different area, which was business. As a tech person, business is a new thing for me. Finance is a new thing for me. I'm learning a very hard way. But entrepreneurs in UK, the biggest problem, because we have the biggest majority, if not the biggest, one of the top majorities of MBAs, the business people. Everybody wants to do business in here. But a lot of entrepreneurs waste money of building the technology and trying to hire people, and they don't end up delivering on anything.
Mm-hmm.
That is because they lack the experience to how to take out the work. So Thy Reality is on a journey to help these new entrepreneurs, to just tell them, we got your back in a way that you don't need to worry about what you need to build. We will tell you how it is built. We will show you how it is built. You just tell us which market and what you want to build. Simple.
So from day one, you've been lifting the bonnet up a little bit on the business, sharing the resources. There's, it sounds like there's a bit more of an open source culture whilst, still building it as a viable enterprise, which I think is really interesting, and almost goes against so much of that kind of Silicon Valley ideology, which is, build and protect.
It's capitalist market. And look, I'm a capitalist a little bit. Like I would like to have some money. Everybody would like to have money, but I want to have money for myself only. I would like to have money for rest of my team and all the businesses that are involved in it. Because having me or you as a billionaire or any other person as a billion to their name, what will I do with like billion? Like, yeah, I can go with private jets and then yachts and everything and party every day. Well, I can do that right now. I don't need a billion to do that. But if I divide that, I create more opportunities. And out of like 100 people, there might be like 10 people like me who will deliver to the rest of the people. So we need to think as a whole world that what we are creating, it's not just for us. We are creating for future generations also. Coming back to a little bit on this, this is something that you might find very interesting. In last 200-300 years, we are failing as a whole world. We have achieved amazing feats. We have gone to the moon. We have done all the things, the technology, phones, everything. Now we are getting ourselves into quantum computers, and we are thinking about how we are almost about to create a humanoid by just programming. AI is just basic programming, and they are learning things. But what we have failed to do is to think outside of 100 years, think outside of a single century. Our planning, government's planning, all the world planning is so limited. We didn't get our stuff together. And now, first 30 years of any century, we have fought, we have got plagued, many people have died. Next 30 years, we recovered that. And then we had like 20 years of prosperity where we are, the world is going good and nice. And then a new century starts. Voila, we have another plague and we have another war.
Goodness me.
People are just failing to understand. Just think outside of second generation. Just think of what you are building is not just for you.
Yeah.
Let's think a little bit ahead of ourselves. Yeah, it's going to be costly. It's going to be problematic. It's not viable. It doesn't provide the return on the investment on time or money or anything to anyone for current generation, but for the future, for definitely.
So you're saying, as a race, we have to dare to think bigger. We have to dare to think longer term. The seeds are planted a long time before they grow, but we could accelerate that.
Yeah, there are huge initiatives like the green movement, the sustainability, that how things are progressing. Yeah. Obviously, we are 50 years late to that, but we are starting to do something. But the rapid change is not there. And you cannot have a rapid change if you are failing to explain to the society why it is needed.
There still feels the conversations about what do we change now so that we don't have to, have floods or be inconvenienced, and have too hot summers. We're still not really thinking, okay, what's our 100-year plan here? Yeah. And I wonder, is that a human? Are we just not able to do that? Do we lack that kind of imagination and vision? Is that hardwired in? I don't expect you to have the answer on that particularly necessarily, but but I wonder if that's something.
I have my thoughts on that. I have my thoughts on that. The thing is that the biggest problem is not the generation thinking. The problem is that we don't prepare ourselves or we don't anticipate the problem while we are trying to create a solution.
Yeah.
I know like in 5 years, I'm going to get old. my body is gonna change. But what I'm doing right now to avoid that.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, I need to walk, like say, a 1 hour a week, and that will prevent me to have some knee problem down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Am I doing that? No, we haven't done that as a human race from past 1,000 years, because once we see the problem, the problem came into us. Like, what? Like, it was already anticipated that, like, we have so many geniuses, all these people, all these scientists, all these economists, back in their mind, or all these politicians, they have back in their mind, like, hey, this is gonna come, this is gonna happen, but I'm fine, I'll be safe because I have the infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
But rest of the people is there's no mass planning for masses.
So it feels like the real bravery then, alongside stepping up and being prepared to solve problems right now that don't just affect you, but, giving space for other people. But alongside that, bravery is not just obsessing with the now, and being prepared to make changes, to put things in place that you may never see the full results of, and to hand down, and to be consciously doing that, and I guess that feels like one of the hardest things.
The biggest problem that we have in ourselves right now, our imagination is limited to our self-being.
And I imagine that's quite tough for you. This is inspiring stuff, but running a business, you've got to sell the solutions to now. You're talking about people with, they want their infrastructure built so that they can solve an immediate problem. I also understand that you are looking at some of the big now problems and seeing what you can do as a business to help them when they're nothing to do with tech necessarily, but say like the Russia-Ukraine war. I understand that you've opened up opportunities for developers from Ukraine to rebuild at least an income and to be able to work. So how do you balance the kind of short-term problem solving with your natural inclination to think bigger?
Everybody's going to say, I'm going to go with the basic answer, very basic answer. That is, we have AI. All the problems are solved. No, but in actuality, we have that. And that's why the recommendation engine, the background of the reality, is built upon if our customer, the reality, don't need to actively build something. Because in usage of 3 to 6 months of our platforms starts to become more smart. And over the period of like next 10 years, 20 years, or 30 years, our next generation of our customer will be able to use the same platform because it is adapting to itself. And we are still in a process of making sure that it happens the way we want. And that is our bit that we are doing right now. But when it comes to 100-year plan for our customers, well, we are on a journey with them. I don't really care about how much money we are going to get out of them. As long as they are growing, we'll be growing. Mm-hmm. And if they decide to like part ways, we will be happy to assist them to do that. And we are not going to put them in a technology locking situation, which many big companies have done so. Because once you implement their solution, you are in their ecosystem and they don't let you leave. Mm-hmm. Our prevention, our understanding of, in next 10 years, there might be somebody better than us. And as a CEO, I have made a personal peace with the simple fact that, hey, I could be replaced. But what I'm doing right now, I need to give my 110% in order to, not to avoid that, but in order to make sure our customer is happy. Customer is the king. You can have the best technology on the planet, but if you don't have the customers, what's the point of it? And that is the biggest problem also in the UK entrepreneurs or any entrepreneur around the globe, is that we get into thinking that, hey, this is a world problem. Mm-hmm. We don't have the diligence or audacity to just go to the actual customer and ask them, what's your problem? Mm-hmm. Technology is successful if you are solving a problem other than what you think is a problem. If I'm thinking, hey, climate change is a problem, or like there is 2 degrees rising is going to be a problem for me, but in what capacity, how it is affecting me. I can solve my problem just putting my air conditioning and everything. But if I think in a bigger, larger scale, hey, there is going to be 100,000 deaths in Africa. There will be water shortages all around the globe. We will have to find a way. If the glacier melts, the sea is going to affect that. We are going to have rapid changes. People are going to die. Then I can come up with a better solution, and then I can gather people more. Coming to the other question that you asked along the lines in this, is just having a respect for other creative people and letting them, if they can beat you, you should be able to say like, yes, you are a winner. Don't make it an ego issue. Mm-hmm. Because entrepreneur, we get into so much bad races. Like you go with, there is a problem with Elon Musk, with Jeff Bezos, they are fighting. What if they just come together? Like there are hundreds of billions of people, like they have so much money, they can solve pretty much half of the world problem like this.
Farhan, this is absolutely fascinating. I really support your approach. It's really refreshing. I am curious. Is my curiosity coming through? Much more human than tech. But you told me that you only have one name, and I said, "What's your surname?" I was googling, and it just says Farhan. Tell me the story. How?
So story starts with, because I started quite early in tech world, and I ended up working with certain defense people. And I went to when I went on to give my ID to this Nadra in Pakistan, and I write my full name, my dad name, and everything. On my side, I give all the details. Mm-hmm. And when my ID came back, I only had one name. And I was told not to ask any question, just live with it.
Wow.
So it's just very fun. I didn't know the full impact of that. And apparently it was a mistake. And then I ended up with one name. All of my degrees, all my air tickets, all of my passports and everything has just one name. They have to have entered Farhan. My UK ID have like Farhan because it's just a fascinating topic to the rest of the world.
Extraordinary.
They made a mistake. Pakistani guys made a mistake.
Okay.
I was working with some US guys. So So freelancing stuff. That's good, because cybersecurity is a world of joys. It's a world of fun. It's fun to be working with all this excited people. Imagine like, and I was amazed. My family was amazed. My dad was like, he sat me down and he's like, "Oh, so you were born without a dad?" Because unlike a Western world, we use dad's name instead of our mother's name on that, and on our IDs and all this. So my dad was like, "So you were born without a dad?" I'm like, "Dad, it's not my fault. Don't put it on me."
But that has real implications for identity, and due to a clerical error, they've kind of imposed that upon you. I've never heard that. It's fascinating. But what a thing to have.
It's so much fun. Like Madonna, I'm Farhan.
Exactly. I mean, Madonna, Prince, sure. Yeah. But they chose that, I guess, is the difference. Well, there we are. Well, it's an interesting life you've been leading, and I'm excited for what comes next. We'll obviously put links to the business and things you're working on in the notes to this. Thank you so much for your time, Farhan.
Pleasure is all mine, and thank you for this opportunity. And one motto that my life is, and for all my experiences and everything, we all can be sad or we can be stressed, because these are depressing times. You just need to find a small corner. You are sitting in a hole of fire. You just need to find a small corner where the fire doesn't burn you, and then find a way how to put off the fire.
Fantastic.
I'll see you very much soon.
Speak soon. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Possibility Club Practical Bravery. If you enjoyed this episode, do like, share, review, tell everybody about it. Look in the show notes for all the details of today's guest, stuff we talked about, stuff that's of interest, new things to read, new things to listen to. And if you are running a business or a charity and you are trying to accelerate or improve the impact that you have in the world, if you want to be famous for what you do and what you change rather than just what you sell, then talk to us. alwayspossible.co.uk. We want to hear from you, we want to talk to you, we want to amplify and elevate your ideas, and who knows, we might be able to help you feel more confident and clear about what's next. alwayspossible.co.uk. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new special guest and a new insight on practical bravery in action.
The Possibility Club is an Always Possible podcast. The interviewer was Richard Freeman for Always Possible, and the producer and editor was me, Chris Thorpe Tracy, for Lo-Fi Arts. Have a good week.
alwayspossible.co.uk.
Lo-Fi